1967. That was the last time the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. Alright, after another disappointing playoff run from the Toronto Maple Leafs, losing to the Florida Panthers in the second round in 5 games, who went on to absolutely get destroyed by Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, that was not even close. That was tough to watch, if I'm being honest. Today, we are going to be adding one superstar to the Toronto Maple Leafs every season until they break the curse and finally win the Stanley Cup for the first time in over like 50 years. I mean, 1967 is a long-ass time ago. Alright, so we are already familiar with the Toronto Maple Leafs roster. We have Matthews, Marner, and Nylander on that first line. We have John Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly, who might not re-sign next season, Michael Bunting at an 83, Calle Yarncroc, David Camp, and Nola Chari. And on the fourth line, we got Matthew Nyes, Lafferty, and Simmons. Defensively, we have Morgan Rielly as our best defenseman at an 88, TJ Brody, 83, Luke Shen, 82, Jake Muzzin, 84, Gustafson's an 83, Liljegren's an 82, so we definitely need some upgrades here. This is where I'll probably start adding players, probably defensemen first, because my god, do we ever need a number 1 defenseman. Sorry, Morgan Rielly, but you are just not that guy. And in goal, we have Ilya Samsonov at an 86 overall and Matt Murray as our backup at an 83. We will definitely need an upgrade here. Alright, so we are going to simulate the season, and next season, if we don't win the Stanley Cup in year number 1, we will be adding a superstar to Toronto, and we will be doing that every single season until we finally win a Stanley Cup. Listen, if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn notifications on too so you don't miss a single upload. And let's get into the simulation. Okay, so somehow Toronto is actually going to miss the playoffs in year number 1, finishing 6th in the Atlantic with a 41, 34, and 7 record. Are you kidding me? You let Montreal finish above you in the standings? Great, we are starting off absolutely great. Mitch Marner is going to lead our team in points with 83, followed by Matthews 82, Nylander 74, Ryan O'Reilly had 61, Johnny T had 60, John Tavares, you couldn't even get a 30-goal season. God damn, John Tavares. 29 goals, 60 points in 82 games. Morgan Rielly had 58, Michael Bunting 57. For goals, Matthews had the most at 44, followed by Johnny T's 29. I guess he was second place for goals, but I mean 60 points. He can do a lot better than that. Ryan O'Reilly at 28, Mitch Marner 25, Nylander 24, Bunting 19. Yeah, this was a very disappointing season by Toronto. Samsonov would finish with a 32, 26, and 5 record, 2 shutouts, an 896 save percentage, and a 318 GAA. That is not very good, and I'm not even going to get into Matt Murray because he's an absolute joke. Connor McDavid is going to lead the entire NHL in points with 112, followed by Nathan McKinnon's 106, Leon Draisaitl 102, Kyle Connor 101, Mark Scheifele had 100, Matthew Tkachuk at 97, Goodrow 95, Barkov 92. For goals, McDavid, oh my god, only 46 goals is going to lead the entire NHL in year number 1 by Connor McDavid, followed by Matthews 44, Kucherov 43, Draisaitl 43. God damn, 46 goals is going to lead the entire NHL? That is not a lot compared to what we're seeing in real life. And conveniently enough, the Vegas Golden Knights are actually going to go on to win the Stanley Cup in year number 1, but instead of beating Florida, they are going to sweep the Columbus Blue Jackets in the Stanley Cup final. For the playoffs, Patrick Laine is going to have 22 goals and 37 points in 24 games. What is going on? He's going to lead all players for playoff points, followed by Johnny Hockey's 36, Jack Eichel 33, Mark Stone 28, Kent Johnson had 27 as a rookie, Bruce Jenner, now known as Caitlyn Jenner, had 20, Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid, Adam Fox would take home the Norris, Kyle Connor would take home the Lady Byng, Slavkovsky would take home the Calder, definitely will not happen in real life. Jack Eichel is going to take home the Conn Smythe, Linus Ullmark is going to take home the Vezina, and Anze Kopitar is going to take home the Selke. And the first player that I'm going to be adding is Cale Makar from the Colorado Avalanche, who is a 96 overall, the best defenseman in the entire game. We definitely needed to address our defense because it's not very good whatsoever. And Toronto has a new best player on the team, and his name is All Hail Cale. He's going to be on the first pair with Morgan Rielly, who is an 88, and our D-core is looking a lot better now that we added the best defenseman in the game. So Toronto will end up finishing first in the Atlantic with a 56, 22, and 4 record. They are also going to finish first in the entire NHL above the Boston Bruins, the Winnipeg Jets, and the New York Rangers. While at least it's good to know last season was just a fluke missing the playoffs, because I kind of got worried if I'm being honest, but we're back, baby. 56 wins, first in the NHL. Mitch Marner is going to lead our team in points with 99, shout out Wayne Gretzky, followed by William Nylander's 93, Austin Matthews 91, Cale Makar. He only had 17 goals and 76 points. Ryan O'Reilly had 68, Morgan Rielly had 63. For goals, Matthews had the most at 50, followed by Mitch Marner's 34, Ryan O'Reilly's 27, William Nylander 26, 26, Johnny T, 25, Michael Bunting, 18. Samsonov is going to play 70 games, going 47, 19, and 3, having 2 shutouts, an 8.97 save percentage, and a 3.12 goals against average. Mark Scheifele is going to have the most points in the NHL with 112, followed by Connor McDavid's 109, Nathan MacKinnon 101, Mitch Marner 99, Leon Draisaitl 93, Johnny Hockey 93, Willie Nee 93. For goals, McKinnon's going to have the most at 54, followed by Davos 53, and Matthews 50. And of course, we are going to end up losing in Game 7 to the Boston Bruins in the second round, and the Seattle Kraken are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Boston in the Stanley Cup final in 5 games. Pasta will have the most points in the playoffs with 34 in 25 games, followed by Bergeron's 30, Wenberg 28, Marchand had 26, Jordan Eberle 26. Mark Scheifele is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Nathan MacKinnon is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Erik Karlsson is going to take home the Norris. Mitch Marner will take home the Lady Byng. Alexander Wenberg is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Igor is going to take home the Vezina, and Sidney Crosby will take home the Selke. Alright, the next player that I've added to the Toronto Maple Leafs is Victor Hedman at a 93 overall. I know you're probably wondering why Victor Hedman. Just hear me out and let me cook, boys. I'm going to fill out this D core so we have an absolutely lethal defensive core. For now, we're going to go with Victor Hedman at a 93 overall, and now we have the best first line D pair in the entire NHL. Toronto is going to end up finishing first in the Atlantic with a 49, 28, and 5 record, and they are going to finish fourth in the entire NHL behind the New York Rangers, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the greatest team of all time, the Colorado Avalanche. Whoa. Colorado had 2 less wins but still had 1 more point than Carolina? I get it. The overtime losses. They had 7 overtime losses. Marner is yet again going to lead our team in points with 99, followed by Matthews 97, Willie Nee 92. Cale Makar yet again has a disappointing year, 15 goals, 65 points, not going to cut it, buddy. Ryan O'Reilly 57, Michael Bunting 53, Johnny T 52, Morgan Riley 49. Victor Hedman 6 goals, 32 assists for 38 points in 82 games. Damn, my pickup is not looking very good right now, boys. For goals, Matthews had the most on our team with 56, followed by Mitch Marner's 27, Willie Nee had 26, Johnny T 25, Ryan O'Reilly 22. Samsonov would go 41, 20, and 5 with 4 shutouts, a 909 save percentage, and a 258 goals against average. The GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, is going to have the most goals and points in the entire NHL with 69 goals and 129 points, followed by Mikko Rantanen's 115, Mitch Marner 99, Gabriel Landeskog 99, Kucherov 98, and Matthews. Well, so, yeah, we lost in the first round to the Red Wings in 5 games. Toronto, the curse is real. How do we lose to the Red Wings in 5 games in the very first round? And the Carolina Hurricanes are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat the Vancouver Canucks in the Stanley Cup final in 6 games. Marty Necas is going to have the most points in the playoffs with 24 in 22 games, followed by Svechnikov's 23, Aho, your mom's a hoe, Sebastian Aho at 22, Quinn Hughes at 21, only 1 goal. That is a wild stat. 1 goal, 20 assists for 21 points in 20 games. Nathan MacKinnon is the greatest player of all time. Adam Fox with another Norris Trophy. Kent Johnson would take home the Calder. Your mom's a hoe, Sebastian Aho is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Igor with another Vezina, and Alexander Barkov is going to win the Selke. Alright, so the next player that we are adding to the Toronto Maple Leafs is Igor Shesterkin at a 92 overall. We have a new starting goalie here in Toronto over Ilya Samsonov, who's an 86. He's not bad, but he's not a number 1 goalie, so we definitely needed Igor. And after losing to the Red Wings in the very first round, I said, screw it, we're adding Igor. This is what's happening. 92 overall starting goalie, let's go. Toronto is going to finish the season with a 48, 30, and 4 record, good enough for 3rd in the Atlantic. And they were the 4th best team in the entire NHL, only behind Tampa Bay, Boston, and Colorado. So I do not want to hear any excuse for losing to a team below us. I mean, we finished 4th in the entire NHL, and our team is really stacked, if I'm being honest. Austin Matthews is going to lead our team in points with 85, followed by William Nylander 78. Mitch Marner had 73, definitely a down year for him. Johnny T had 56, Victor Hedman 56, Cale Makar only 54 and 13 goals. I mean, I'm beginning to think that Cale Makar is not a good fit on Toronto. He's been absolutely terrible every single season. For goals, obviously Matthews had the most at 48, followed by Mitch Marner's 28, John Tavares had 25, Willie Nee had 24, Michael Bunting had 21. Igor Shesterkin's going to go 35, 24, and 4, having 2 shutouts, a 902 save percentage, and a 283 goals against average. Nikita Kucherov's going to lead the entire NHL in points with 104, followed by Braden Points 103, Connor McDavid 101, Sidney Crosby had 99, Evgeny Malkin had 98, 98. Steven Stammer? That doesn't even make sense. Anyways, he had 94. Brad Marchand had 93. For goals, Kucherov had the most at 54, followed by McKinnon's 51. Jack Eichel had 50. Matthews had 48. And Connor McDavid would also have 48. And we are going to end up losing to the Boston Bruins in 6 games in the second round. Another absolutely disappointing playoff run. I mean, come on now. We only made the second round and we lose to Boston yet again, this time in 6 games, not even 7. And of course, the Boston Bruins are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat the LA Kings in the Stanley Cup final. David Krejci is going to have the most points in the playoffs with 28 in 22 games. He would be tied with Mark Scheifele at 28. Brad Marchand had 27. Pasta had 24. Kyle Connor 23. Crosby would take home the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy, while Nikita Kucherov's going to take home the Maurice Richard and the Art Ross. Drew Doughty is going to take home the Norris. David Krejci would take home the Conn Smythe. Vasi is going to take home that Vezina. And Alexander Barkov would take home the Selke. Alright, so I decided to add the absolute GOAT, that is Nathan MacKinnon, to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's a 96 overall. He's going to be on that first line with Austin Matthews at a 94 and Mitch Marner 92. Willie Nee get down there in that second line with Johnny T and Michael Bunting. So our first line is absolutely stacked now. Probably the best first line in the entire NHL, if I'm being honest. We needed a GOAT like Nathan MacKinnon to break the curse that is the Toronto Maple Leafs having any success in the playoffs. Defensively, we're still running with Cale Makar and Victor Hedman, and in goalie, you already know we have Igor Shesterkin at a 92. We are going to end up finishing first in the Atlantic with a 54, 24, and 4 record, and we will also finish first in the entire NHL above Carolina, Minnesota, and Boston. The GOAT, MacKinnon, is going to lead our team in points with 91, followed by Matthews 88. Cale Makar had a very big season. Finally, only 15 goals, but 72 assists for 87 points. Willie Nee had 80, Mitch Marner 75, John Tavares 68, Victor Hedman 61. For goals, Pablo Escobar had the most at 47, followed by Johnny T's 41. Nathan MacKinnon had 39, Mitch Marner 23, William Nylander had 21, and Michael Bunting had 20. Igor Shesterkin's going to go 45, 18, and 3, having 4 shutouts, a 908 save percentage, and a 263 goals against average. Nikita Kucherov's going to have the most goals and points in the entire NHL with 55 and 112, followed by Connor McDavid's 102. Braden Point had 100, Pasta had 98, Leon Draisaitl 98, Barkov had 94, and Nathan MacKinnon would have 91. And yet again, we are going to lose to the Florida Panthers in Game 7 in the first round. This team is literally the best team in all of hockey, yet we're losing in the first round every single year. The Toronto Maple Leaf playoff curse is definitely real, and the New York Rangers are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they sweep the Minnesota Wild in the Stanley Cup final. Minnesota, go home. You got swept. You're absolutely terrible. I mean, John Tavares had 8 points in 7 games. Nylander 7, Matthews 6. Where the hell Cale Makar 6? MacKinnon, man, oh my god, the GOAT Nathan MacKinnon only had 2 goals and 5 points in a 7-game series and was a -4. Not to mention that Austin Matthews was a -5. Igor 3, 4. Yeah, Igor was absolutely terrible. A 4 goals against average in a 7-game series. Holy shit. Alexander Barkov is going to have the most points in the playoffs at 27 in 18 games, followed by Matthew Tkachuk's 24. Patrick Kane had 24. Adam Fox 24, and Vladdy Tarasenko at 23. Nikita Kucherov is the best player in the world. Cale Makar would take home the Norris. McTavish would take home the Calder. Adam Fox is going to take home the Conn Smythe. Freddie Anderson would win the Vezina. And Sidney Crosby would yet again take home the Selke. The next player that we're going to be adding to Toronto is Matthew Tkachuk at a 93 overall. Since we know Matthews and MacKinnon are both going to shrink come playoff time, MacKinnon was absolutely terrible last season, and Matthews, well, he's never really been a playoff guy. We are going to need someone who's going to show up in the playoffs, and that is Matthew Tkachuk. Fresh off an absolutely great playoff run that he had with Florida, so we are definitely going to need him come playoff time. And Toronto is going to finish first in the Atlantic yet again, going 49, 22, and 11. We would be the second best team in all of hockey behind the Carolina Hurricanes, who went 52, 24, and 6. So we had a very good regular season. I mean, we have a very good regular season every year. Just come playoff time, we are a different team, and we absolutely suck. From now on, I'm not calling Nathan MacKinnon the GOAT until he brings a Stanley Cup to Toronto. Toronto. So the phony GOAT, Nathan MacKinnon, is going to lead our team in goals with 52 and points with 93, followed by Matthews 90, Mitch Marner 88, John Tavares 63, Willie Nee 62, Matthew Tkachuk 62. He only had 14 goals, but we're paying him for the playoff run. Cale Makar 8 goals, 57 points. That's pretty embarrassing. For goals, MacKinnon had the most, obviously, then Matthews 43, Mitch Marner 34, John Tavares 30. Igor would end up going 40, 18, and 9 with 4 shutouts, a 905 save percentage, and a 273 goals against average. Tage Thompson is actually going to lead the entire NHL in points with 100. So you mean to tell me that only one player had a 100-point season? Followed by Alex Ovechkin, who had 60 goals and 99 points at age 37. Kaprizov had 96, Jason Robertson 94, Nathan MacKinnon 93, Clayton Keller had a big year, 20 goals and 91 points. For goals, obviously Ovi had the most at 60, followed by Nathan MacKinnon's 52, Patrick Laine had 48, and Jason Robertson. And yet again, we are going to lose in the fucking first round to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. I don't know how this keeps happening. We are just an absolute mess come playoff time. I mean, losing to Tampa Bay is one thing, but we just absolutely do not do what we do in the regular season. I'm beginning to think we're going to get the entire NHL roster on our team, and somehow we still won't win the Stanley Cup. I mean, come on now. We by far have the best roster, and we're still losing in the very first round. And somehow the Minnesota Wild are going to go on to win the Stanley Cup as they beat Carolina in 6 games in the Stanley Cup final. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon kind of showed up, 3 goals, 7 points in 6 games. Marner, Tavares, Nylander, Matthews only had 1 goal in 6 games. Cale Makar only 1 goal and 1 assist, -5. Jesus Christ. Igor was not very good either, an 895 save percentage and a 315 goals against average. Kaprizov is going to have the most points in the playoffs with 27, followed by your mom's a ho, Sebastian Aho with 23, also had 10 goals. Elias Pettersson had 22, Braden Point 20, Mikko Rantanen 19. Alex Ovechkin is going to take home the Ted Lindsay, the Maurice Richard, and the Hart Trophy, while Tage Thompson will take home the Art Ross. Thomas Chabot is going to take home the Norris. Kaprizov is going to win that Conn Smythe. Cam Talbot is going to take home the Vezina. What am I witnessing right now? I have no idea. Cam Talbot takes home the Vezina for Ottawa, and Bo Horvat is going to take home the Selke. Alright, I have finally done it. I have caved in. I'm adding Connor McDavid to Toronto, a 99 overall, the best player in the entire game. We are going to be adding him to this roster with Austin Matthews at a 94, Matthew Tkachuk 93, William Nylander 89, Nathan MacKinnon 96, Mitch Marner 92, John Tavares 87, Ryan O'Reilly 87. I mean, come on now. Defensively, obviously, we have Victor Hedman and Cale Makar. Cale Makar being the best defenseman in the game at a 96 overall. And we probably have the second best goalie in the game, Igor Shesterkin, at a 92 overall. If we don't win the Stanley Cup this season, I have no idea what to do. I guess I could add Vasi, but after that, I mean, it's just getting ridiculous at this point. Toronto is going to end up having an absolutely great regular season, 60 wins, 18 losses, 4 overtime losses. We were obviously the best team in the entire NHL, in front of the Boston Bruins, the Carolina Hurricanes, the Montreal Canadiens. Finally, Connor McDavid is giving us some offense, 52 goals, 117 points, leading our team, followed by Nathan MacKinnon's 83, Austin Matthews 82, Cale Makar 73, William Nylander had 71, Matthew Tkachuk 70, Mitch Marner had 63, Johnny T 59. For goals, McDavid had the most at 52, followed by McKinnon's 41, Austin Matthews at 36, Matthew Tkachuk at 26. Igor would end up going 44, 15, and 4, having 3 shutouts, a 900 save percentage, and a 280 goals against average. McDavid had the most points in the NHL with 117, followed by Leon Draisaitl's 108, Alex Ovechkin 98, Kyle Connor had 95, Past had 94, Svech had 93, Suzuki had 93. For goals, Leon Draisaitl have the most at 58, followed by McDavid's 52, Past had 50, and Jason Robertson had 46. And finally, we have made the Stanley Cup final. We are going to be playing the LA Kings. Can we bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada and finally end the goddamn curse and end all those 1967 jokes? Or will we choke again like we do every single season in the playoffs? And finally, the Toronto Maple Leafs have won the Stanley Cup. Oh my god, I never thought I would see this happen. It took 7 long years, 7 players to make this happen. I mean, we were basically an all-star team at this point. We weren't even the Toronto Maple Leafs with the amount of players that have added to this team. Connor McDavid is your Conn Smythe winner. It said he had 5 goals and 13 points, but that is 100% wrong. We would end up beating the LA Kings in 5 games in the Stanley Cup final. And there it is, the Stanley Cup. Here comes our captain, John Tavares, coming to lift the Stanley Cup for the first time in his career, and the first time time in well over 50 years, the Toronto Maple Leafs are yet again Stanley Cup champions. They have finally broken that curse. No more 1967 jokes. There he is, Austin Matthews, also known as Pablo Escobar, lifting the Stanley Cup. He's going to pass it off to Connor McDavid for obvious reasons. I mean, they didn't win a Stanley Cup until he came, but did he just do a 360? And finally, he's going to give it off to Igor Shesterkin. Oh my god, that looks nothing like Shesterkin. I wanted to give the cup to Mitch Marner, but it did not come up for me. There it is. The Toronto Maple Leafs are finally Stanley Cup champions. Boys, we have done something absolutely insane. We have finally broke the curse. Connor McDavid is going to have one of the greatest playoff runs of all time, 15 goals and 43 points in 18 games, followed by Austin Matthews, who had 15 goals and 25 points. A very good playoff run from him. He's mostly known as a playoff choker, but boy, did he ever show up this playoff run. Nathan MacKinnon had 19, Matthew Tkachuk 19, Cale Makar 19, and Mitch Marner 17. Connor McDavid would take home the Ted Lindsay, the Art Ross, and the Hart Trophy, while Leon Draisaitl is going to take home the Maurice Richard. Charlie McAvoy would take home the Norris. Obviously, McDavid got the Conn Smythe. Ullmark would take home the Vezina, and Sidney Crosby is going to take home that Selke. And that will do it for this video, boys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and comment below what team I should do next. Adding superstars until they win the Stanley Cup. But boys, we have finally done it. 50 years is no longer. The curse is no longer. The Toronto Maple Leafs are finally Stanley Cup champions. Thank you for watching, boys, and until next time, don't be silly. Wrap your willy.